Well, this big microphone in your way is not visually appealing. Let's fix that, shall we? Well, okay, so I'm live, but nobody's here yet. So, I just wait until people have joined the chat, and hopefully you can hear me. Please let me know you can hear me, because the microphone is a little bit low. I got an email, yeah. I sound good? Okay, great. Hi, Adam. Hi, James. Excellent. Sorry about this. I wanted to make sure the picture was better this time because I'm still not used to this webcam thing that goes through my iPad. And so I changed the aspect ratio. It looks better, but this big old microphone thing is in the way, and I can't find a spot for it that's going to be out of shot, but you can still hear me okay. So that's a little bit better, not much. Adam and Adam, we got two Adams. It sounds like my device mic, so it's not coming through this mic. Well, as long as you can hear me and see me, that's what matters. Okay. So, yeah. As long as you can hear me and see me, I'll figure this out. It's been a while since I've been doing this, so I'm a little bit rusty. And I tried to do it without the webcam app because I wanted to just see if I could do it through the iPad again. It didn't work. I don't know what I'm doing, like we're not doing. So I wanted to make sure that I was on time this time. So whatever. I'm here. You're here. I'm here. And we can chat. So that's what matters right now. I have to occasionally keep glancing up to read your comments. So that's why the difference in eyeline here. So hope you're all doing well this week. I had an interesting week, as you know. That sign video was really interesting. And I just broke 3,000 subscribers, which was pretty exciting to me. It's been very difficult to break the 3,000 subscriber mark. It's been like close and then falls and then drop, goes up, and then I get close and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then all of a sudden it broke. So I was really excited about that. And, you know, I've had this sort of internal battle over, you know, statistics and, you know, playing the YouTube game. And I have not been playing the YouTube game in the past because, you know, when you realize that everything is a system and contrived and you kind of don't want to participate in it. And so I was doing the opposite, which is suppressing my channel. I mean, just relying on people to find my stuff by searching for it or word of mouth. I'm actually, now that I think about it, surprised that my channel is where it's at with no promotion. I've not promoted it at all. So I'm going to change that now. I'm going to start actively promoting it. So if you happen to notice that the numbers go up kind of quickly, which I hope they do, that would be why. I don't want you to think that there's anything weird going on, but I'm going to be actively promoting my channel and changing how I approach my content, and I guess you could say take it a little more seriously as opposed to just doing it whenever I feel like it. I mean, I do it when the message comes to me. I don't really have a schedule or anything, but I do still have this sort of internal pressure that I put on myself to put out content on a regular basis. And I battle that all the time. And I know, like, I remember hearing Devin Maggi say he had an issue with this internal battle over his channel as well. And and I did ask him about it. So it's kind of it's a difficult position for people like us to balance the external with the internal. And it's like, okay, truth, number one priority, but I also have to look after myself and my the time that I have to be able to put stuff out, the resources that I have, as well as my, health and wellness and balancing my own life. And I tend to put that by the wayside, and I devote I would say about 90-something% of my time is devoted to researching truth, making videos. And even though you don't see me putting videos out every day, which was difficult during Vlogmas to put out videos every day on this kind of topic. It's easy if you're just, filming your life all the time and that's all you do. But when you have to actually put something thoughtful together, it's not easy to come up with something every day and record it and edit it. And so, yeah, you may not see me putting out videos every day, but I am working on something every day, practically all day. And I don't really, I occasionally take a break, but I don't really take a break. So, yeah, that's a kind of snippet into the behind the scenes of my video making day. Yeah, I like the yo-yo numbers. James gets it too. Do recommend your channel, but the system has control over what we get to see. Yes, thank you, James. You do recommend my channel. I have heard that you have recommended my channel, and it's very kind of you. And it's very like I was saying, it's a very weird situation to be in trying to balance truth comes first, but how do I balance it with everything else in life, with this physical reality? And one of the things that I am going to do is I'm going to issue a monthly newsletter for anyone who is subscribed. Now, I have to set up on my website a subscription button for the newsletter, but if you join my site, you'll get it anyway. But it's not very obvious how to join. So I'm going to set that up on my website, and I'm going to send out a monthly newsletter. I'll be sending out the first issue very shortly. I've already put it together and sort of testing to see if I wanted to do it. And I got really excited about it because I wanted to have a way of communicating with everybody about little things that kind of fall by the wayside because I can't put them in my regular videos. I kind of view my videos as art, and that's why I started the TrueLove Talks, to make it a little bit more casual. And then I started this to have a more open, conversational, interactive dynamic with you, and to get back on camera again so you can see my face, and a little bit more humanizing. So I might do a couple of those here and there, but anyway, for the most part, I needed to have a way of communicating little things. Like one of the things I wanted to communicate was some of the things we were talking about in Discord that the rest of my viewers don't get to see, because I'm working on a decode for Don't Worry, Darling, which is so powerful. I mean, there's so much in that movie. And we were discussing it for about a day or so in the Discord group. And I think that I'd like to be able to let people know, hey, I'm working on this video, this movie, you should watch it before my video comes out so that you understand what I'm talking about, so that when the video comes out, first of all, you're not like, well, what is this movie? And I don't want to watch this video because I don't know the movie, because some of these are pretty obscure. Like Under the Silver Lake was pretty obscure. But everybody's heard Back to the Future. So, putting out something that came out decades ago is a little easier. But, something like Don't Worry, Darling is incredibly powerful, and you won't get the full impact unless you've seen the film. And it kind of allows you to participate in the process a little bit. Maybe try your hand at decoding before you see my video and see what you get out of it. So little things like that, announcements about reaching 3,000 subscribers, which I previously didn't care about, but now I do care about because I think my message needs to get out there. And so growing my channel is important to me. So that sort of thing. So I would really like to have this opportunity to have a vehicle to communicate with you. And I'd like to incorporate some of your comments and some of the discussion that's been going on to show some of what you have to say in like a little blurb in the newsletter, to say, hey, so-and-so said this and so-and-so said this, but in a more private, contained manner. So it's not like broadcast to everybody. It just goes out to the people who want it. So yeah, that's another opportunity to keep things a little bit more contained, because I do feel, and I did get an email today about privacy. I do feel that a lot of people hold back from commenting and is from discussing anything in the chat because they're worried about people seeing their comment. They're self-conscious about saying something or sounding stupid, or they don't want to sound like they're far behind other people in their ascension development, and which is all, it's all ego related, but we all have ego. We all have to deal with ego, and it's totally acceptable. It's totally fine. There's times where I don't want to say something. Like I don't want, to put my name out there and say, hey, well, what did you mean by that? Or I disagree with this, or can you explain that a little bit more? I don't understand what you're talking about. I had this personal experience, and some of this stuff is very personal. A lot of people have been asking me about what God I am, and I would like to share it with you, but only a handful of you, because I feel that this is private information, and a lot of people aren't even ready to hear that yet. Like, for example, Devin Maggi, he used to call himself Hermes. I don't think he does anymore, but people don't understand that, and they kind of took it wrong. And the connotation is that you're calling yourself a god, but it's like, it's just the fact, it's the truth. So not a lot of people will understand that. Not that it kind of matters, kind of doesn't matter. But I think that at this stage, some of this information should be maintained in a private area and a private discussion group. So I don't want to have that. I want to be able to provide a forum for people to ask questions in a comfortable environment and mention personal things that they feel safe talking about, without trolls interfering, without unwanted attention, without people commenting on their personal lives. Some people would mention that they're going through divorce, and some people don't want to mention that they're going through divorce. They don't want people to know this stuff. But having an opportunity to discuss that in a more private manner could be helpful for the person who doesn't want to share it publicly. So I think that would be very helpful. And so when the time's right, I'm going to introduce a membership section to this YouTube channel, just to make it easier for everybody, so that you can have a forum for these kinds of Q&As, live chat type of thing, where we can discuss more personal matters, sort of behind closed doors, so to speak, and get a little bit more hands-on with some of the issues that you have to deal with. Maybe, like if somebody has something they want to say or talk about or complain about that they're going through, that they're having a hard time or whatever, and they don't want to talk about it publicly, that might be a good place to do it. And we can help each other get through bumps in the road or obstacles, or see things, or understand what they're seeing, what you're seeing, these sorts of things. So anyway, that's kind of my updates. I'm probably going to be making some changes to my website and stuff like that too. And I've been working on some short videos, which are going to be really fun. I'm really excited about those because they've been really fun to make. And I think it'll help because the little short snippets of information that's buried in like an hour-long video kind of give you a little bit of a reminder and a bit more of an impact in isolation. And so anyway, those are coming. So yeah, how are you? What's going on with you? What do you want to talk about? Do you have any questions? Do you have anything happening that you want to discuss? We were talking in my last video about synchronicities that were quite interesting. So perhaps you want to talk about those. I know we got quite a few more viewers. If you want to say hello in the chat so I know you're here, that'd be great. Thank you, James. Congratulations on 3,000 subscribers. You deserve to be heard by more because you help make sense of this realm. Thank you. Thank you. So many more people need to hear what you say. Thank you, Adam. So yeah, if you just joined and you want to just say hi, give me a like, bump up the, attention algorithms. I didn't put a notice out to tell people that I was up this week. A lot of people came back and watched the live after the fact, which was great. So I kind of thought, well, people know about it now and they'll just come back on Sunday and know that I'm here. But I don't know if I need to put out a notice all the time or I'll figure it out. But one of the things that I wanted to make better use of as well is the community section of YouTube. There's a like making posts and questions and so posts and questions or surveys or polls or whatever. I wanted to make more use of that, but every time I've used it, nobody's paid attention to it or people have said they haven't gotten it. So pay attention. I'll start using it and please let me know that you're getting it so that I have some idea as to whether it's working or not, if people are actually seeing it. And so I think that it would, I think that would be beneficial for all of us. And I can just send you like short messages and quick messages and notifications and stuff. I had so many syncs the other day from multiple different platforms and aspects. It was a center of the universe moment. Oh, that sounds really cool. Thanks, Adam. I love your membership idea. Would you consider a course on how to discover what God you are? Maybe. I'm not going to write it off because I've kind of learned my lesson from saying I will never do this, I will never do that, because things evolve and change and you get a different perspective as you evolve and change. And I might, but I am working on a book on how to do it that incorporates the Johnny Depp material and it incorporates a how to apply it to your own life at the end. So it's going to be in there, and I'm not yet sure how I'm going to put out or present the Johnny Depp material yet. There's so much, and I don't want to overwhelm people. And I do, however, want to want to do it justice. This Johnny Depp material is so powerful. I mean, it's equally as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Don't Worry Darling material that I'm going to put out. And so I'm just like, I'm really excited about it, but I'm a little bit overwhelmed by how much there is in, well, both of it. I wrote 20 pages single spaced of notes on Don't Worry Darling yesterday. And it took me, I think, 10 hours to write it. And so that's a lot of material to put into a video. And there's some really fascinating nuggets in there that surprised me even after watching. I've watched the movie 3 times now. And so there were little nuggets that surprised me. And like when it surprises me like that, I get tingles. And I don't know if you, if any of you do decodes of movies, but when you find something embedded that you didn't notice just watching it casually, or watching it and taking notes the second time, or however you go about doing it. But anyway, it's even after taking the notes, thinking that I had extracted everything from it, I went back and put all of the pieces together from my notes and came away with something even more powerful, even richer, which was really exciting. And like every time I do a decode, I find something new. I find, what would be the point? There would be no point in me doing decodes if I didn't find anything new. But every time I do decode a movie or an event or a book, anything, I find new information and new ways of looking at the material to extract that information, which I find so exciting. And I had so much fun working on it. So, yeah, I will probably record an audio book with the Johnny Depp materials. Hi, Trixie. Catching up, double speed. Okay. So, yeah, I'll probably do an audio book. I'd like to try to present it in multiple formats so that people have an option as to how they want to ingest the information. Some people like audio, some people like visual, some people like to read. And so if I have different ways of presenting the information, then it sort of appeases everybody. And it's kind of fun for me. I'm also sort of dabbling with the idea. I'd like to put some of my content onto a podcast platform, but gosh, I've got so much on the go right now. I just don't have time right now, but it would be great if I could. Adam, behind you 100% sounds really exciting. Yeah, because you've seen Don't Worry Darling, Adam. And so we were discussing it in the Discord group. So you know how much is in that movie and how exciting it is. When I saw the trailer, I was like, I got to see this, because it was not what I was expecting. The title is so misleading and kind of generic. It didn't appeal to me. And with all of the behind the scenes drama of the movie, didn't appeal to me. So when I actually saw the movie, oh man, I loved it right away. It's kind of Westworld-ish, but kind of like Westworld meets, what is it called? The Stepford Wives. I kind of thought it was going to go Stepford Wives direction while I was watching it, and was a little surprised that it went more Westworld than Stepford Wives. But anyhow, yeah, it was really good. Maybe narrate the text and show text on screen, so when it opens up to avenues to view and hear. Yeah, maybe. I'm open to suggestions, like if you have ideas for what you think would be helpful to you, because honestly, so few people will say that they have trouble understanding something, and either most people just say, yeah, that's great, that's really fascinating, or and they still don't understand it, or and I kind of assume that you do understand it if you're saying, yeah, that's great. Or there are people who will say, you don't know what you're talking about, you're a moron and you're crazy, which is not helpful. Obviously, they don't want to understand if they're saying something like that anyway, but there's nothing in between, really, where I hear from people who want to understand, but they don't ask constructive questions so that I can help explain something in order for them to understand. And so if I had a better understanding of things that people aren't getting or would like to know more about or like to understand better, or even pieces of information, like one of you in the Discord group, hi Arthur, welcome. People in I was talking in the Discord group to some people who were discovering things themselves from Stellarium about their God story, which was helpful to me, that I haven't had a chance yet to look at Stellarium properly, which I really want to do for the Johnny Depp material, because obviously it plays a role. And I'm not an expert in astrology, so which I feel is a little bit to my benefit, because I'm coming in fresh. I don't have preconceived notions of what these things should mean. And I want to stay kind of like research as I need to, more so than trying to know everything about all of it, because I feel like the purest form of information is coming from the decodes, if you know what I mean. So I would rather go that route, and along my path, the things that I need, I'm finding are being presented to me, which is really cool. Like with the Johnny Depp materials, I'm a little impatient because I was like, how come I'm not putting this out yet? Like I've watched all his movies, I've decoded all his movies, like I know which God he is, and I'm like anxious to get this stuff out, but I know there's more information that I need to put into the material, which is why it's taking so long. So there's always additional pieces that come my way at the right time. Like this Don't Worry Darling is one of the pieces, and so everything is just perfectly timed, and that's how I see it. I know that there's nothing that, like, I can't what I find really fascinating about this ascension process and about this learning process is that you can't go out and get information on something you don't know. And yet you kind of feel like excited and impatient about wanting to know certain pieces of information and certain pieces of the puzzle. But when it just comes to you as and when you need it, which is quite perfect because you are in a position to receive that information. And if you had come across that information before you're ready, you wouldn't receive it, you wouldn't believe it, or it would just go over your head, or you would reject it. So when you receive this information as and when you need it, you're open to it, you're receptive to it. And so you will be looking for it, but not knowing that you're looking for it. And it's just this perfect timing of, okay, you're ready to receive this information, and here it is. And you didn't even know that you were looking for this piece of information until you get that piece of information and you're like, hey, I was looking for that. And I didn't know how to go about looking for it because I didn't know that that was what I was looking for. So, and have you been having this sort of experience? Is this how it's been for you? I'd like to know, like, how has it been for you? How are you getting, like Adam was just saying, he's had so many synchronicities from multiple platforms, and like that's definitely part of it. And I find that when I'm going through something, or when I need an answer for something, I go to YouTube and there's a video right there telling me the answer. And yet the video itself is very obscure. Like it would have a very different kind of title from what I was expecting. And within that video is the answer to the question that I had when I woke up that morning. Does this sort of thing happen to you? Is this happening to everybody? I would imagine it is, but I want to hear, is it happening to you? It often starts with downloads along with synchronization. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I get downloads as well. I mean, I don't call them downloads, but yeah, they're the same thing. Synchronicities and gnosis and hindsight. Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. I was torn between sidereal astrology, the stars in their current placement, and tropical, the typical format. Yeah, this is why I think with sidereal and tropical, I think they're true. You have to use both, I think, which is about merging heaven and earth. So you have, the sidereal is the heaven and tropical is earth. So you want to be able to marry the two somehow. Michelle, welcome, Michelle. So it happens to you too. Okay, cool. Great. So yeah, like the gnosis and inspiration, making connections. I had, certain experiences happen, and then in the moment that they're happening, I'm kind of aware that there's something to it, but really it's after it's all happened, I look back on it and I'm like, oh, so that's what that was. Like the 88 gate synchronicities that I had, I knew in the moment that I heard the video Killed the Radio Star song that was, a shining beacon to tell me that this is the 88 gate that you're going through. But then when I was putting all the pieces together, I saw the bigger picture and how it all came together, and that was really exciting. Certainly topics I discuss seem almost simultaneously similar to other channels' topics. It defies any rationality to try and explain it. Yes, I've heard that before too. I mean, obviously, like current events aside or whatever, but you're talking more about consciousness topics and things that happen to you personally. So those sorts of things seem to have a bit of a ripple effect, or they happen connectedly, like other people are experiencing it at the same time. That's really cool. I've noticed that a couple of times. So yeah, that's obviously it's the connectivity through consciousness, which is really cool. Yes, I love this free thought process. I use this. Cool. I have no TV, but I agree the radio does speak messages for certain. Ooh, the radio speaking messages. Yes, just yesterday I had a question, and the first video that showed up in my YouTube feed answered my question. Excellent. So, hi, Noel and Owen. Good to see you. And that's really cool. So it's good to know other people are experiencing the same thing, and I think it's fun. I think it's exciting, and sort of adds to the awareness that we're moving away from time into synchronicity. So I find it way more fun living in this way. And I don't know, I'm going to ask you too. Do you feel that you're living more in the new mindset and moving away from the mundane and having a harder time living in the mundane? And yet while you're living in the new mindset, you feel a little bit guilty because, so it's a kind of two-part question. You feel a little bit guilty because you feel that you should be more in the physical mindset and that you're kind of living in a fantasy world. That's how I feel. Do you feel like that? If all is mind, it feels as if the universe presents what your mind is able to compute and comprehend, and proof it's all connected and we are part of this mind. Adam. Yeah, totally agree. Indeed. Which I find it exciting. I find it magical and comforting and way more interesting than the way we used to live with the song The Sign said, where you don't understand, and so life is demanding, so you have to physically manufacture your way through life. So no one's flower. Hi, good to see you. So yes, it happens to you. Cool. James Brockhurst. I agree with Adam. Well, Adam made a good point. Excuse me. So do you need me to repeat my question? Are you living more in the new mind? And do you feel guilty about living in the new mind versus the mundane reality? So do you find that you're spending more of your time living in the new mind and less in the mundane, and sort of not wanting to be in the mundane, but feeling a little bit guilty about it because you feel like you're living in a bit of a fantasy world? Or do you not understand what I'm talking about at all? Especially since the 15th of March, I feel I am almost in a psychedelic trip. I don't use any drugs. Really? That's really fascinating. Yeah, I kind of feel a similar way. And I don't know if it's to the extreme of a psychedelic trip, but so for example, when I prefer to spend a lot of my time focused on decoding movies and such, because I feel most at home there, because that's where we're supposed to be. And so when I was working on Don't Worry Darling yesterday, I was so happy. I was so at home. I was so comfortable. I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then when it was over and I was done, I kind of felt sad. I kind of felt like, okay, now what do I do? I don't know. I don't really get along with the mundane reality anymore. Adam, sometimes the mundane feels like respite. It can sometimes feel like an expedition and separated in this new thought. I play along with the show some days to recoup. Yeah, I would agree with that. But I can only handle it in small doses. Like sometimes my work in making videos or research or whatever can be overwhelming, and it's just like, oh, I just want to break. So I do mundane stuff. Maybe I'll go to the shops, maybe I'll hang out with somebody, talk to people, or clean, or exercise, whatever, go for a walk. Going for a walk and stuff is fine, but sometimes talking is difficult. I can only take people in small doses and talk about mundane stuff in small doses. So yeah, it's kind of like taking a vacation in a way, and yet it's only relaxing for a little while. Not extreme, just a bit. No one's flower. Okay. Yeah, just a little. It is a little bit weird with like synchronicities and everything increasing and interesting, weird things happening, dealing with NPCs. Trixie, I feel like I live in a fantasy life, but I do not feel guilty. That's good. I like that. James Rockhurst, I found that because my perception of this reality has changed, my vibration has changed, the external looks no different, but situations, events on a different behavior of others does change. Yeah. Well, some people don't like to talk about it, but this is what law of assumption and law of attraction is that as you change your perception, the world around you changes. So, because everything is subject to your perception. So it's kind of a bit weird though, because the physical doesn't change. Like the tree is still where it was yesterday. The houses are still where they were yesterday. All of these physical things, they all kind of look the same, but the way in which you interact with them, the way in which they interact with you changes. It's like when you're in a bad mood, you have the little rain cloud over your head and everything is awful, and you stub your toe and you drop your coffee and you spill stuff on your tie. Or when you're in love, nothing can touch you. So that's kind of the same sort of thing. Nothing's really changed on the outside. It's all about how you perceive things and how you feel. And so yeah, I'm definitely moving into the camp where it's like fantasy most of the time and not wanting to be in the mundane. No one's flower. I'm feeling more comfortable when doing music. Oh, so you play music? You write music or play music, or you're a composer? Yeah, like that. Being creative, I find, is so fulfilling, and that's kind of the same energy, because you're tapping into inspiration, which is that world. It's coming from well, God, source, the vortex. Sitting in a cafe like an undercover agent watching the show go on is my thing. Adam. Yeah, that sounds like fun. I can't tolerate cafes anymore. The noise is too much. Maybe a smaller cafe, like not a Starbucks or something. I might do that. Like an undercover agent. Sounds like fun. So, Eternal Padawan. It's been a long time. Haven't seen you for a while. Oh, no one's flower, so you play piano. Cool. Good to see you too. Genovio. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. Love your work. It has been everything to me in the past few months. I'm wondering if you have figured out what Santos is gatekeeping. Well, that's interesting. Santos actually subscribed to my channel recently, which was kind of interesting. But what do you mean by gate? Like, what is he gatekeeping? As far as Santos goes, I do highly respect his syncretism. Personally, I find his syncretism unmatched. I learned so much from his syncretism, and I wouldn't know what I know now if it wasn't for his work. I don't know what's going on with some of the people he's associated with, that some of them are obvious shills, and so I don't know. But I take his syncretism and, leave the rest. So that to me is really powerful information. Trixie, I love people watching. Yeah, I love people watching too. And I think that's partly why we're here. I've been watching the TV series Bones, and that is also based on the Anunnaki story because they deal with bones and humans and people. And the main character, Temperance Brennan, she's an anthropologist in a way, like, so she studies human behavior because she has some sort of disability in sort of emotional way that prevents her from tapping into her emotions. So she logically expresses how she feels in a more scientific way. And so as a result, she has to study human behavior in order to understand how and why people react the way that they do, and why her reactions are not appropriate sometimes. So it's really interesting how that TV series is based on the Anunnaki story. And I kind of get a kick out of watching it just like for that reason. So where am I here? Okay, James Brockhurst. Immersion into something, research, meditation, anything where you lose awareness of time really helps. Yes, I would agree with that for sure. That's like the you are focused on, you may be focused on external things, but at the same time it helps draw inspiration, and so it helps you go within at the same time because you're so focused on something. My Discord account got banned, Eternal Padawan. From what? From my group? That doesn't make sense. Glenn Bordeaux. Hi, all. Hi, nice to see you. Welcome. And Katia, welcome. Hello. Have you a video explaining the fall and how we fell asleep, or direct research? Grateful. Thank you. I don't know that I have a specific video explaining the fall, but I think my Venus video, the Fool, explains like some of it, that we are the ones who lied to ourselves because we have had a fall in consciousness and we forgot who we are because of the cycles of the zodiac. It's just a fall in consciousness, a fall in energy. We go through cycles. And so we went into the down cycle where we had a fall in consciousness and we forgot who we are, but we are here as well to play as God's creation, which is our creation. We created this place, we created ourselves, and we forgot who we are so that we could do it on purpose, so we could pretend to be human. So I do have some of that in my Parallel Universes video. It's kind of scattered around several videos. So yeah, you might want to look into the Crazy World playlist, but quite a few of those have some mention of those. Where are we? Wi-Fi. I noticed that I'm feeling a bit off. The external reflects that back to me, and I can feel a bit paranoid. When I'm feeling good things happen, and I can just laugh at the synchronicities. Well, yeah. If you're feeling paranoid, you're going to have that reflected back. Law of attraction. The way that you feel or the way that you perceive things is going to be coming back to you. So if you think that somebody's following you, you might actually manifest people following you and be paranoid about it. And then it sort of feeds it. And you're just going to keep seeing that sort of experience. And so when you change your perception and you change your mood, if you had someone following you, you may not be bothered by it. You might notice somebody's behind you, but you might not even consider them following you. And then you will not manifest more people following you. So yeah, the key to that is just to make sure that you focus on how you feel. Pay attention to how you feel. And if you don't like how you feel, change how you feel. And then your experiences will change. So Adam, has anyone seen Mr. Nobody? Yes, I have. Several years ago. It was a weird movie. I always recommended it as a film about someone who had access to all their alternate timelines. Going to watch tonight. We should do a film club. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I was thinking about because I was thinking about, well, if I'm working on a video decode of a particular film, it would be great if you guys knew about it in advance so you could watch the movie and try it yourself, or if you wanted to, or just watch the movie at least so that you knew what I was talking about when I present the decode, and we could have a discussion about it. And then I thought, well, it'd be kind of neat to have a little discussion group that's purely on movie decodes or event decodes or what have you. And we do that a little bit in the Discord group, but perhaps like a more like workshop-y approach might be interesting. So yeah, maybe if there's enough interest, let me know and I'll think about it, because I'm decoding and understanding symbolism and everything is really important. I mean, yeah, I do a lot of it for you, but I do it for me, and then I present it to you so that, you know, I can share what I've come across. But it's important that you do it yourself. It's important that you understand what you're seeing, not just on TV or movies. And yes, that's important because it's part of your experience, but to be able to decode your own experience so that you understand what you're seeing, because you live in a dream world and everything's symbolism. So I think that there's this hurdle in understanding the importance of decoding. Well, why should I learn that? Why is it important? How does it affect my life? Well, from my perspective, decoding is everything. So if that's something that's of interest, let me know. Because, yeah, there's a hurdle of understanding why it's important, and then there's a hurdle of understanding how to do it. Because sometimes I've noticed some people will do it wrong in a way. Like they sort of misunderstand how to approach it, or make connections in a way that is detrimental, that's not helpful, and it isn't actually what is being presented to them. So that might be something of benefit to people. But yes, I have seen Mr. Nobody. It's a very weird movie. It's very long, but I might want to watch it again now that I know what I know, because I saw it before I know what I know. I saw it like 2014, 15, something like that. Yeah, it's weird. Adam, been there, Wi-Fi. Be kind to yourself and trust in your eternal safety and well-being. Good advice, Adam. I think we've all been there. I've been there. Where this is why I talk about targeted individuals, because there was a time where, I came across that information about targeted individuals, and it's very fascinating and kind of interesting and funny. Like funny in a truth sort of way. But yeah, like that stuff gets in your head, you start to manifest it. And so I talk about targeted individuals and what that actually is, because I would like to help people get out of it, because it's self-created. And a lot of people want to stay there. They want to stay there because it makes them feel a little bit important. It's really unfortunate that the whole targeted individual community gives people this impression that you're special because you're being targeted, which is so damaging, because there are people who are in the targeted individual community who are spending their whole lives obsessed with how people are following them, and then they go and attack these people that they think are following them, but they're not following them because it's self-created, it's in their head. And so now these people, they have the illusion of them following them, and it will definitely lead you to paranoia. It will lead you to psychosis and schizophrenia if you're not careful. And it's very damaging. And I mean, yes, you're special, but you don't need to be a targeted individual to know that you're special. So that's just glorifying being a victim. And nobody likes to think of themselves as a victim. The word victim has a negative connotation, which in certain circumstances you are a victim of such and such an event. But when you put yourself in a position of being in a perpetual state of thinking that you are a targeted individual because you're special, it's disempowering. It really is. So I want people to understand, you put yourself there, you have the power to get yourself out. So I think that targeted individual community is really dangerous. Where am I? Look at all these beautiful comments. I'm so happy to see new people here and familiar people too. Where am I? Padawan got banned from all of Discord. What did you do? That doesn't sound like you. Like, it must be a misunderstanding. Genovio, how do we know that astrological theology and syncretism is not just another trap, another psychological operation? I don't really understand the question. The thing is, I know for a fact that these things are true because I test it. And there's a lot of these psychological operations that you have to hone your discernment to understand the difference between what is true and what is not. And the fact is, I'm presenting you with evidence in movies and events that show you that everything is about Ascension, everything is about IXXI, everything is about 911 emergency. It is consistent. It is there. It is something that you cannot change. You can't manufacture it. You can't change it. It's put there by divine consciousness. So there's no way anybody can manipulate that. And all of that is connected to astrology and theology and all of that. So, and syncretism. So if you think that it is just another psychological operation, I would recommend that you do more research in it and test it and study it for yourself, apply it for yourself. Look into etymology, understand how all of these things work. Look into matrix math. I call it matrix math. It's vortex math, whatever. Understand how the universe is created. And all of those things should map onto each other. That's how I know that it's solid, because every single thing that I focus on all maps onto each other. All is one. It's only one thing, and it's all a reflection of itself in different formats. The tarot is the zodiac. The zodiac is music, is numbers. It's all the same. And that's how you know for certain that is true, because it's not something you can manufacture. It's pure consciousness. It's consciousness expressing itself in creative ways. But it's a good question. It is a very good question. How do you suppose that happened, Eternal Padawan? It's a very good question. No one's flower. Mark C, I feel like we can know who we are if we ask God for his plan for us. Okay. But God is within you. But yes, you can ask to have, you can ask for anything. You ask and it's given. So, have you asked this and has it been revealed to you? That's what I'd like to know. Hi, Nora. I was in a Discord group and everyone in that group was banned. Wow, that's weird. Wow, that's really unfortunate. Okay. Michelle, exactly. Change your perception and your mood. Indeed. Glenn, the movie White Noise could be a good candidate. Haven't seen it yet. White Noise. It could be, considering they made a bit of a big deal out of it and attached it to the Ohio train derailment. I thought it was interesting how the Ohio train derailment happens, and then they tie it to this movie called White Noise, which happened to be filmed in the same place. And the movie itself is a comedy. So in a way, it's like they're showing you that they're mocking this event, which I thought was really weird. But, I got a chuckle out of it. Katia, I'm in to learn, grand idea. Okay, cool. We got one. I genuinely thought I was being gang stalked when I started to awaken and realized it was a mind loop I did to myself, Adam. Exactly. I had the same situation, and I had fallen into extreme fear and paranoia due to all the, reptilian talk and the talk about mind control, reptilians, and how the elite control everything. Oh my gosh, when I come across that information, I fell into extreme fear and manifested the craziest stuff. I don't think I've talked about it because it was so crazy, but it was quite a trip. And then I managed to get out of it, realize that I created it because I was aware of law of attraction and how the mind works and everything. But it was like there were some events that sort of stood out to me to say, okay, I know what's going on now. And I stepped out of it. And looking back at it now, it was like, wow, that was kind of cool. Actually, it was terrifying at the time, but it was quite cool looking back on it now. So yeah, it's just a mind loop, like you say. You can be a victim without becoming a victim. Eternal Padawan. Yes, that's a very cool way to put it. You can be a victim without becoming a victim. Or without victimizing yourself. You can be like a victim of a robbery or a victim of, a crime, but you don't need to victimize yourself over it. You say, yeah, that happened and it was unfortunate, or, even if you get upset about it at the time, which is warranted, but do you take that and drag that out throughout the course of your life and be beholden to it and say, my life sucks because I was mugged on February 3rd, 1984, and I haven't been able to move on since? That's victimizing yourself over it. So yes, you can definitely do that. Hey guys, just got back from watching Shazam at IMAX, Channel Junior. I feel the game reality system keeps showing us we are the sleeping gods. Marvel DC Universe as TrueLove spoken about which god she is yet. Give me a moment. I started talking about that earlier in this video because I kind of feel that it's a little bit personal at this stage for me to be talking about which god I am. And so I kind of want to do that in a private forum when I'm ready. I still have research to do because I don't really, when I'm talking to you about it, like I have things to back it up, but I still have some more information I want to look into. And anyhow, I don't want to be like spouting it out in a public forum. So short answer is no. The long answer is at some point in a more private forum. Agree that it's all reflections as you just explained perfectly, James. If you are in a Discord group that allows what they call bullying, then everyone in the server gets banned. There were some people in there making memes and taking the mick out of a couple of people from YouTube. The server was reported and everyone got banned. Wow. Okay. So, my eyes itchy. I know there's a few people in here who are in my Discord group, and we don't really make fun of people that way. We don't do that sort of thing. But if something gets out of hand and, it's an issue for anybody in my Discord group, I would hope you'd say something to me personally in a private way first. And then we can deal with it rather than just reporting it. I think that's a little petty. It's like, if you don't like what's going on in the Discord, like somebody's bullying you or bullying other people, or you don't like how certain things are unfolding or whatever, like mention it to the person who's running the Discord first. Don't just report it. Same with the videos. Like if you don't like something, say something and don't just report it or, whatever, flag it or something. It's just kind of respectful to the person that you're dealing with. I think that's just really kind of childish. Anyhow, that's really unfortunate. An eternal Padawan. Sorry to hear that. The revelation is in who I am versus what I'm here to do. Based on that, for example, I had a long life of hell that gave me a loving mentoring skill. So I look for ways in which to use that skill. Okay. Well, that's beneficial, but what I'm talking about in terms of what God you are is way more specific. So not to get into what God I am, but to say what I have discovered as a result of knowing what God I am is I have seen how the star story plays out in my life and why certain things happen to me in my life story and what it means and how it's showing me who I really am. So certain people have come into my life and done certain things that, like, not positive things and sometimes positive things. And in trying to understand why that happened, I now have a solid story that is presented to me that says, well, this happened because this is who you are, this is your story, and these things have to happen in your life story. So when you understand that, you have a deeper understanding as to who you are, as to why certain things happen in your life, why there are certain people in your life, who they are. And then moving forward, I haven't got to this part yet, but the information that I have gathered and the research that I have done and some inner knowing has also contributed to this understanding that there comes a point where you have the choice to either end your star story and create your own, or you can continue on your star story. You might want to continue on your star story because it's a good star story. You might want to end it and create your own because your star story doesn't go where you want it to go. So, so that's the benefit of understanding what God you are, and it can get very specific and detailed and kind of fun. It's kind of fun to see how that story played out in your own life, and then you better understand other people as well. And you can have a little bit more compassion for them because you realize that they're just running a story. They're just running a script and they're in your life for that reason. So there's a lot of lot of nuances that come with understanding your story. But yes, as well as understanding, as you say, how the experiences that you went through, how that contributed to who you are today, and how that benefits you into what your purpose is. I have been able to see very clearly how everything in my past has contributed to where I am today, why certain things didn't work out, why they only got to a certain point, why I had to go down that path, why I had to learn those sorts of things. All of that is very clear to me now. And it's also very clear to me where I have to go in the future. So that's, like you were saying, part of it for sure. Michelle, yes, that makes perfect sense. How our minds interpret things when in those mind loops, and then reflecting back on what is real. It's kind of fascinating. I love this conversation. Thanks, Michelle. I'm glad you're enjoying it. When you awaken, you're vulnerable to so much more information, some good, some bad. It can be traumatic and somewhat of an initiation of the soul, dark night, and all that. The speciation, I don't know what speciation means, disappears between internal and external. You got to hone in on the superpower of awareness. It's like the guy from X-Men with the laser eyes. You got to learn to harness the power. Yeah. What's interesting too is like, I think when you first awaken, it's traumatizing, as you said. It's very traumatizing, but also you're very easily led. You're very, very easily led down conspiracy paths because you don't know where to go. You don't know who you can trust. You kind of trust everybody because you're kind of accustomed to that. And then you quickly realize, oh, hang on a second. These people are not authentic. There's a lot of shills here. And we were having a discussion about shills in the Discord. And it's important to learn about shills. It's important to hone your discernment and know what information is beneficial and what isn't. And it's important to, you get to the point where you don't want to listen to shills, or certain shills anyway, especially the ones that perpetrate the fear. They're just useless. The ones who are controlled, they tend to have more beneficial information that you can sift through and extract from. But you do have to hone your discernment first. You do need to know what to look for, and that comes from within. So if you haven't honed your personal instrument, then you will be easily led externally. So you have to be able to listen within, and you have to be able to sift through the information externally. And so somebody externally could be misleading or could be lying to you, and you might believe them. And then you might later realize, oh crap, I've been duped again. But it's not a catastrophe. It's not something you can't undo. It's not a big deal unless you got caught up in a cult and have been really badly damaged or abused by a narcissist or what have you, and had your, all of your money and everything taken from you. I mean, hopefully nobody gets into a situation like that, but that's like worst case scenario. On the lighter side, generally speaking, you probably just picked up a few things that aren't true and got duped, which is an ego bruise and not a big deal. So, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there peddling crap, peddling stuff that's not true, peddling things that they believe is true, which is not, that's harmless. Like, they believe it's true, that's fine. But when people are deliberately deceiving you, that's a little bit offensive. And there's a lot of those people. So yeah, you have to weed your way through, and you have to hone your discernment, and it's kind of a rite of passage. And that is the whole point of it, is to get you to look within, to get you to trust your inner knowing. And you might come across information that you're not ready to hear yet, that you might read as misinformation or a lie or what have you, which is, what the normies do when they come across something like my channel, or, anybody within this vein of conversation. They'll come across it and it will repel them because they're not ready to hear it yet. So it won't ring true to them unless they're ready to hear it. And so if you get to the point where you are ready to hear it and you go back to it, then you will be more receptive to it. So it's all about tuning your own instrument. It's all about knowing yourself and getting to a place where you're ready to receive that information. Or you burn everything. Okay. Separation. Okay. Eternal Padawan, I lost 10 years of contacts. I've been using Discord almost since it started. Really? Wow. That's ugh. Yikes. That's unfortunate. That's kind of wrong. Mark C, I can relate to that. I've been able to move forward on a bunch of on a hunch of what my story is. My decisions seem to fall into place. Part of that's law of assumption. Part of that's law of attraction, because you will manifest things that you're in tune with. And so if you line up with it, then it's going to happen. If you're not ready for it and you have resistance within, then it's not going to happen. So, same with the TI loops we were talking about before. Trixie, I can relate as well, and find it nothing but helpful to examine these patterns. X-Men, Cyclops, Single Eye, Mind's Eye. Yes, indeed. It's everywhere, isn't it? It's so obvious once you see it. Eternal Padawan, so glad I made it through the conspiracy phase. I can process information much better nowadays. Yeah, right? We were talking about this last week about being stuck in the conspiracy fears stage, which is a huge hurdle for a lot of people. For everybody, it's a huge hurdle, no matter who you are, huge hurdle. And honestly, I think it's a really good thing to go through that phase. Just like going through the shill phase, you go through the conspiracy phase, and you go through the fear phase, and you go through the shill phase. Then you really know, you have really strong knowing. You have a strong knowing of who you are. You have a strong knowing of what's right. You have a strong knowing of how to listen to yourself, and you have a strong knowing of what's true. And you filter out all of that negative fear stuff, and you just sort of laugh at it now. It's like, well, how did I even get stuck in there? You can understand. It is understandable. But once you're over it, you look back on yourself and you're just like, wow, that's just a complete world of difference. So yeah, it's hard to get past that phase. Adam, some shills are steps on Jacob's ladder, but you got to keep climbing and not stay there. Absolutely, Adam. Yeah. This is what they're gatekeepers, right? So they'll present you with certain amounts of information that's helpful, and then they stop there, or they present you with misleading information to distract, to keep people out, to keep people away from getting that piece of information. And if you stay there, then you aren't going to grow or progress. And if you rely on them to give you this information rather than doing it yourself, then you're not going to progress because you're not going to learn from yourself. So I don't really have a problem. People want to watch Shills, go ahead. But why are you watching them? What are you getting from them? There's obviously something that you need to get from them. And then when you're ready to move on, you will. So there's nothing wrong with watching Shills, but be aware of what you're watching. Know that they are a shill. Know that at some point they're going to mislead you. They're going to keep you penned in, or they're going to prevent you from seeing more information. That's how I view it. You know, everybody view it any way they want. At some point I was like, I can't stand Shills. I don't want anything to do with them. Some of them I don't want anything to do with because they're overly fearful and negative and they just spew a bunch of garbage. Like pretty much everything they put out is garbage. So I don't want anything to do with those kinds of Shills. But yeah, like, where did we get a lot of our information? We got it from Shills. They will give you a piece of the puzzle, which is a clue, and then they will distract you, which is a red herring. So you want to, again, just hone your discernment. Some people are addicted to the fear they need a bad guy. Oh yes, absolutely, Adam. Again, that ties into the victim mentality. If you have a bad guy, they're doing it to you. It's not your fault. You don't have to take any accountability. You don't have to take responsibility. They're doing it to you. And here's not to really harp on this, but it's a relevant subject. But if you truly believe that the controlling elite have this power over you where they control everything and they're out to kill you, they're out to get you, how do you think you're going to take them down? How do you think you're going to go up against them? This sort of David and Goliath thing. So why would you want to stay in that mentality? It is a powerless mentality. And I'm not saying that that's the only reason why you need to get out of it. It's not. The only reason to get out of it is because it's not entirely true. There's more to the story. If you're going to stay in the duality mindset, it's true, right? In the duality mindset, that is true. Outside, above the duality mindset, it is not true. It's an illusion. So, I'm not saying that you're wrong to be in that mindset. You're not. It's just there's more to the story. And if you can get a higher perspective and get past that, you'll realize, oh, why am I stuck here? What does this serve me? So yeah, it does. It just gives you someone to blame, someone to point the finger at and say it's their fault. Channel Junior or Shills to me are like part of the RPG real-time MMO game. I don't understand that. It sounds like game speak to me. I don't understand what that means. A bit like you can't level up without working through them. I used to listen to David Icke. It's a honing your discernment level. I listened to David Icke for a while, and he's got a lot of interesting and helpful things to say. Otherwise, people wouldn't listen to him the way that they do. But I mean, the mere fact that he has such a massive platform and he was allowed into England to have a public presentation when he publicly calls the Queen of England a lizard, a baby-eating lizard, that's treasonous. He should not be allowed back into England to make public presentations to a wide audience. So if that's not a glaring beacon of a controlled opposition shill, I don't know what is. And yet a lot of people love David Icke. They are loyal to him, and this is the problem. Being cult-like obsessed with somebody is very dangerous. You can respect somebody, you can appreciate their work, you can be grateful for what they taught you, even if they turned out to be a horrible shill. You can still be grateful to them for what they taught you, and the fact that they taught you to not get stuck on someone who isn't a total shill, but to be obsessively committed to someone, like there's people who are obsessed with Jordan Peterson, who they feel that they owe their life to him because of some of the changes they've made in their own life due to what he said. You can be grateful for what he taught you, but don't be so stuck on him as the savior or something. That's not the right way to view people. They're people just like you, and they have information to share, and they're trying to help other people by sharing what they know. And if it happens to help you, that's great. You can be appreciative of it. Don't worship people. Don't get caught up in the cult-like mentality of this person is like God and I won't listen to anybody else. You need to be able to look at opposing opinions and sort of weigh things out and be open-minded about other things. But you gotta be able to filter through a lot of bad information at the same time. PL, welcome. Or are they normies aren't smart enough to contemplate it? Did I miss something here? It sounds like half of a comment. Normies aren't smart enough to contemplate it. I'm missing something. So when I see friends, family now in the conspiracy phase, I think none of my business. You keep gaming, man. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't want to interfere with anybody's process anymore. Unless somebody asks me, I don't get involved. The conspiracy phase is a trauma-based reaction. I feel my nervous breakdown led me straight to the conspiracy phase. Yeah, absolutely. Mark C, I'm pretty sure Matt is a gatekeeper. He is absolutely agree. He's stuck at this point. Reality gives itself away, hammering on the same points over and over again. Yeah, it's unfortunate. A lot of people, again, cult-like mentality, get caught up in his channel and they worship him. He has a lot of good things to say, and he's very likable. He's very relatable, but he's a gatekeeper. And, a lot of people don't want to hear it because they like the guy. And, he's going to keep you at a certain level. I've been trying to get people to understand that they do know things. There seems to be a lot of people who have been tricked into thinking they know nothing. Yeah. There's a lot of thinking. I mean, yeah, again, you can think what you want to think, but there's some detrimental thinking that will block you from learning. And there's things that are being repeated through the truth community, things like nobody knows anything. You can't really know the whole truth. I've never thought that. My approach is I want to know everything. I want to know the ultimate truth, and I don't care what it does. So just give it to me. And that way I'm open. I'm totally open. If you have the opinion or the belief that you can't know all of the truth, you're not going to know all of the truth. It's not going to come to you because you're blocking it. So don't block yourself with these limiting beliefs that will prevent you from receiving information. James, when a channel stays on a certain topics, it seems they're a distraction, but who is keeping anyone watching? Well, yeah, I think nobody's telling you have to watch, but again, those people who are watching don't know that they're a gatekeeper. They think that this person knows everything, and so they'll just keep watching. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with watching those people as long as you know what they are. And so you just have to be mindful of that. It's just part of the process. RPG role playing. Okay, massive multiplayer online game. Okay, thank you. I thought it was game speak. Michelle, discernment is so important, I've learned, and why I'm so grateful for this channel because of the high level of discernment. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's incredibly important. And yeah, you got to be in tune with yourself in your own instrument. 33 members watching. There were 33, then there were 36, and now it's down to 34. So now it's 33 again. Okay. Michelle, yes, there are people. I love this. There was a person I loved and watched here on YouTube. I learned so much from and identified with. Then she disappeared, literally gone. But I remember the learnings. Yeah, that always saddens me. Like, one of my favorite channels was Stovila Elohim Ra, and he used to do syncretism and etymology, and he stopped making videos. Then he came back for a bit, and then he stopped again. And a lot of these other like obscure channels, they put out a lot of really good content for a very brief period of time and then just disappear. But at least their content is still up. I'm grateful for that because I can learn from it. But I would really like it if they came back and started making content again. But, you know, everybody's got to do their own thing. Understanding, so much gratitude for it all. Great. 33 is Christ consciousness confirmed. Channel Junior. Damn straight. That's right. Mark C., I would rather live in the worst absolute truth than the most grandest of fantasy. Fantasy is also truth. So I understand your point, though. And it's interesting because it's it's interesting because in the movie Don't Worry, Darling, I was thinking about that because she's living, just to touch on a little bit, sorry, it's going to spoil a little bit, but she's living in the 1950s fantasy land that has this illusion of perfection. And then she realizes that it's not real. But her real reality is horrendous. So I won't get into details, but can you imagine that you're living in a fantasy world that's like wonderful? Like everything's taken care of. You're just enjoying yourself. You're going about your business. You're shopping. You're gabbing with the girls. Everything is parties and husband and happy relationships, and like nothing is really wrong, except everything is wrong. So when you think about it in that way, that you would rather live an authentic life in hell land than live in a perfect life that is a complete lie. And when you think about it that way, how awful it is for people like us to live a lie. It's just such a powerful inner calling for us that we can't do it. It just, that is more painful than living in a horror story for real. I mean, I find that so confounding and fascinating, but true. It's really true, because this world that we live in, it isn't perfect. It's a trauma center for a reason. However, I find the truth much more beautiful and magical and powerful and wonderful than the lie. The lie to me is torment. But some people are enjoying themselves. You know, they have plenty of money, they're flying and traveling everywhere, they have beautiful family, you know, they have all of the trappings of the physical world, and it's wonderful for them. It's going to be very difficult for them to go from that to the truth, to realizing that that is a lie, which I find a lot of truthers in the last few years at least have had an upset in their physical life. Something's gone wrong. Either they had an accident or a near-death experience, or they lost everything, or they've had some sort of major event that's shaken things up for them, and realize that, hang on, this isn't, what's going on here? This doesn't make sense. The people who live the perfect physical life are going to have a bumpy ride on the way down, or will never see it. So, yeah, it's a very fascinating perspective. Where are we? My truth is crashing people's systems. It's the answer for the fluctuating view count. I deserve to have a choice, Adam says. Mark C, yes, because you can work your way out of the hell life because you know what to work at. I lied myself into fantasy land for the first 20 years of my life because the reality of my situation was dire. Well, this is all very interesting, and I'm kind of two minds about this, because law of assumption is real. However, I've also been through situation, like what is real and what is not real. This is a very interesting thought that I've had for a long time now, because there was an experience. I don't know if I told you about this. I think I did. This experience that I manifested when I was working at this Chamber of Commerce. And I think I did talk about this during Vlogmas, but I didn't like the situation I was in. My boss was difficult, let's say, and I was ready to quit. And instead, I turned everything around. I made it what I wanted it to be. It was a very powerful experience in a law of attraction experiment kind of way. But at the end of it, it all fell apart. And I was kind of ruminating on why. Why did it all fall apart? Like, was it supposed to fall apart? So I reflected about it. And part of the reason it fell apart was because I was only there for maternity cover. And when I created the experience for myself, so when you're dealing with law of assumption, you live in the end, right? Excuse me. You live in the end. And so there's what I assumed for myself was, at the end of this, is what I said, at the end of this, I am going to be the best employee they've ever had, the most liked, everybody's going to love me, I'm going to do some great work, and it's going to be a magical experience, which it was. And so I had set an end date to it, and at that end date, which was the end of the cover that I was working for, I hadn't set anything to come after that. So it ended. It was over. And I forgot that I had done that. But was that experience that I had real? Because it was all kind of fake. And yet it was real at the same time. I went through it. I had that experience. But I had made it that way. And at the end of it all, it fell apart. So, I mean, it's as real as anything else. It happened. So you can live a fantasy and make it real, but you can also lie to yourself and live in psychosis. So there's a difference. How that difference manifests, I don't know yet. I haven't really thought about that. But I do, examine how these things come to be, and the experiences that I have, are they real? Like, I think they're as real as anything. So that experience was a fantasy that came to life because I created it in my head and then I lived it out. And that's how everything here happens, but most of it happens subconsciously. We're not conscious about it. It's when you're conscious about it that you take control over it. Stockholm Syndrome. Joe Mama, you're late, dude, but it's good to see you. Of course you jumped on it at an hour and 33 minutes. BB, welcome. Your way of talking is the logic of the logic. I think that's a compliment. Sounds like a compliment. Thank you. The logic of the logic. The Energy Flow Tribe, James Brockhurst. Hitting rock bottom is like winning a race. Yes, it seems awful at the time, but then revealed the beauty of where it leads. Yes. Eddie Machete. Welcome. Nice to see you. JB, perhaps it went wrong at the end as it was just showing you that you can create a better reality. Yeah, perhaps. I think that was the whole point. The whole point was it was presenting an opportunity for me to create my reality. And I took that opportunity and made it something better and made a memory out of it, as opposed to, this is a horrible experience and I'm not going to do it. Padawan, I've never quite hit rock bottom. The universe always seems to come up with something just before I get there. Well, that's very good. That's probably because you have that belief system that that's how it goes. BB, yes, life is a big fairy tale. Indeed it is. JB, excellent. Eternal, I say rock bottom as a way to describe events in my life, but yes, something always prevents from real harm. Yeah, like rock bottom, I guess, is relative. Because, I've had experiences where it's, for me, rock bottom, a place I never want to go back to. But there's much lower, could have gone much lower. I guess the ultimate low is death, in the sense that, you exit out early or whatever. Or, you do bad things to yourself in a very dark way. That's pretty low. But I think rock bottom is relative, and there's always a cushion. I think too, in my experience anyway, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying before about your God story, is some of these experiences that obviously we perceive as negative are there to show us something about this realm and show us something about ourselves. And things that you need to see, things you need to experience, things you need to witness. And so for me, there were a couple of experiences that I do not wish to repeat. However, what it has taught me about this place is invaluable. I would never wish it on anybody else, and I would never want to repeat it. And I don't particularly like thinking about it, but it happened. And the lesson that I got out of it was priceless. So I think that there's definitely something to be said for having a front row seat to that particular movie, which I can now look at it in that way. and experiencing it firsthand as opposed to somebody telling you about it. And because it hits you in the core, right? So it's the same with anything. Somebody teaching you how to do something only gets so deep. It's when you actually do it that it gets into you, like it becomes part of you, that you know, like the inner knowing is part of your soul, part of who you are. So I think that's why there's certain experiences, like Mark C was saying that he has gone through hell. Some of those experiences you probably needed to, I would say you definitely needed to experience firsthand in order to do whatever it is you're doing today. As you say, that you're in a better place using it to your advantage in a purposeful manner. So yeah, it might suck at the time, but hopefully you can learn from it and grow from it and understand why it had to happen. CC, welcome. Long time no see. Much respect. Thank you very much. Eddie Machete, I'm sorry I missed you. I'm still here. Adam, fantasy and its many derivations originate in the Greek word fantasia, which literally means to make visible. Conflicting definitions arise from the varying modern uses of the word fantasy and its counterpart fantasy, which is derived from the German word Fantasie, meaning imagination in the sense of the word imagination. So yes, fantasy, fairy tale, imagination. Neville Goddard says this world is all created out of imagination, because what you think of first is how it comes to be. And that comes from imagination. So we live in a fantasy land, and it's just when you create out of conscious awareness, you stop creating out of default or unconscious, subconscious. Which is kind of what I was talking about before, about having the option to break your star story and create your own, or continue on your star story. So there are certain things that you can do within your star story. You can manifest certain things or have certain experiences, but it's still within your star story. Good seeing you back again. Thank you very much, Eddie Machete. It's good to be back. And it's I've wanted to come back and do lives for a long time, but like I said, it wasn't possible. So, but I'm back now. Where am I? Disney World, break the chain. People understand what you live in. I personally feel this reality is just malleable, or the sameness a dream, just denser for now. It could return to a more fantasy state one day, as an example. Channel Junior, we could be flying around like X-Men, DC Universe one day, just like in our dreams. Yes, I understand what you're saying. It is a dream reality that's denser because there's constancy to it. And also, I think in the future, part of this has to do with the fall of consciousness, and part of this has to do with our belief system, that we believe in certain laws of physics that restrict us from doing certain things here. And so, like when you're in your own dream, and if you become lucid, I mean, sometimes even in your own dream, you can fly. But if you become lucid and you say, okay, I want to fly, I want to build a tower here, and you just manifest a tower. We should be able to do that here. So I think a lot of that, we're restricted in our own belief limitations of what we can and cannot do, and partly due to the heaviness, the density of consciousness. There's certain things we probably can't do. So I do think that the turn of the cycles will have something to do with that, in lightening it up, so we understand our powers and abilities of manifestation, and our powers and abilities of creation. And I think that there's necessity in slowing down and having this density because of the fall consciousness, because we have so many negative thoughts. We have so many like, ego-based thoughts that if they manifested, it would be hell on earth down here. Like, it would be horrible. And a lot of people think that it is hell on earth here, but for some people it is. But it would be a lot worse if everything that we thought of manifested instantaneously. And so it needed to slow down. It needed to get heavy. And then once we clear away that egoic consciousness, we'll be able to manifest again a little easier. That's why a lot more people who have been working on their mind and been working on clearing away some of that old garbage have an easy time of manifesting. So the more you work on that, the easier it will be, and our consciousness will lighten, and we'll be able to fly or whatever, for sure. Adam, I'm glad you mentioned your lucid dream. Spotless Leopard, haven't seen you for a while. It's good to see you. A lot of life's diamonds are at rock bottom. Absolutely. Absolutely. Stephen Perkis, haven't seen you. Nice to see you. Adam, world of duality split it so they can say imaginary, but it's how we create, as we all know. Where am I? Eddie Machete, I always resonate with you, true love. That's awesome. Thank you. Channel Junior, Adam is Neville Goddard, and others teach imagination is more real than reality, creates reality. That lucid dream is as real as this live stream we are in. Awesome. That's a great statement. I like that comment. You guys are awesome. You guys have great comments, and it's so nice to talk to people who get it. BB, why hypocrites are hypocrites? Do you consider hypocrisy as a mental disorder? I don't think that it's a mental disorder, but I think it's probably a symptom of one in some cases. I think it depends on how extreme it is, because some people could be completely oblivious. People could be completely oblivious. Like a lot of people intellectually know what to do. And so it's easy for them to tell other people, hey, you should do this, but they don't do it themselves because it's harder to do it yourself. Some people just don't have any self-control, and some people just like to boss people around and tell them what to do. Some people have no concept of consistency between what they say and what they do. And that would probably fall into there's a mental limitation that could be a symptom of that. I don't think hypocrisy in itself is a mental disorder. And then there are the people who are pure hypocrites, who are narcissists, who will tear you apart and tell you what's what and how to try to control your life. But when it comes to them, they won't do it, and they won't want you to tell them, and you can't tell them. They won't change anything. And so, yeah, like that would be part of a symptom of narcissism. So that's how I would see it. I believe, Channel Junior, I talk to people and touch things. It was as real as life gets, and I listen to others speak to each other and realize I'm listening and watching aspects of myself. Adam, that's really cool. I don't know about you, but my dreams have become really interesting and more realistic lately. And I've noticed more detail in dreams. I've noticed I've had weather in dreams, whereas before I never really had weather. I've noticed I've seen clocks and time, which a lot of people say you don't see in dreams, but I've seen it. I've seen handwriting. And it's interesting too, pardon me, it's interesting too, because the details of, like, I'll be fascinated with the details, even though I'm not like, I don't say to myself that I'm dreaming. I'm aware that I'm dreaming on some level because I'm fascinated by the details in the dream. So like one time I've had more technology coming into my dreams, which is weird. And I'd be looking at cell phones and seeing posts on Instagram or something. And I'd be looking at it going, how can I see this detail on my phone? Even though I'm not saying I'm in a dream. And then I'll be sitting looking at the fabric in my pants going, how come I can see so much detail in my pants fabric? And I will remark about the weather. I will remark about seeing time or seeing the writing, or, you know, like you were saying about hearing people communicate and talk. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how I'm noticing these things in dreams and yet still not saying I'm in a dream. Let's play with it. Odd. Mark, I know that I've mentioned this in comments, but I had stage 4 kidney cancer in 2018. Sorry to hear that. I believe I survived because I love my daughter so much that dying wasn't an option. You probably did. I loved her more than myself. That's how powerful we are. That's a great story, and I'm really glad to hear that you came out of that and that you learned that lesson and you did it yourself through the power of love, which is just a great story. That's fantastic. Neville Goddard lectures have been a massive benefit in my journey. JB, yeah, he's great. I can't find too much wrong with what he has to say. Same here. So have you and TrueLove Mate, Channel Junior. Love and respect to you guys. Thank you very much. David Baxendale, haven't heard from you for a while. Good to see you. Happy Mother's Day from England. Happy Mother's Day to you too. It's not Mother's Day here though, but that's interesting. Parents claim no eggs in the supermarket for 2 weeks due to bird flu. Not sure about chicken. I'm on a plant-based diet. Oh, well, we don't have problems with that here. I do keep hearing about things, but I don't see any in the stores. I've got to nip away. Okay, see you, Eternal Padawan. Come back if we're still here. Adam, just seeing who you are. James, love your stuff too. Cool. I consider hypocrisy a weakness, fear of facing their inner demons. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Like it's in a reluctance to look within, reluctance to apply what they say to themselves. Because obviously, if you know what the right thing to do is and you're not doing it yourself, then there's reluctance to even accept that you need to do it yourself. Hypocrite is middle between good and bad, wants to find a way between them, but he knew the difference between good and bad is that way or not. On what grounds do you consider this act not disorder? Because hypocrisy in itself can't be a mental disorder. It's more of a symptom. It's a trait. So, Spotless Leopard, I've had dreams that came true. To me, that's proof of the past, present, and future run parallel. Yeah, I've had dreams come true too. 3 a.m. here. We'll catch up on the rest once I get up. Love to you all. Thanks for the sharing. Cheers to love. Bye, channel JR. Adam, for me, I woke up from a dream. It was like a dream in a dream where I was actually awake, but had zero control on instigating the lucid dream. I don't think you can choose to lucid dream. Well, that's interesting. I think you can. You were in your dream and you said that you knew you were dreaming, which triggered the lucid dreaming. It's the awareness of dreaming that triggers the lucidity of it. So maybe me being aware, like I was aware that I was in a dream, but I wasn't like, hey, I'm dreaming. Yeah, I don't know. But I have heard people say that you can choose to lucid dream or you can prepare to lucid dream. So I don't know. It's interesting. CC, excellent to see you. Long time, miss you much. And obviously you've been looking into the digital reality. Excellent. We should talk sometime. I don't see it as digital reality. I see it as consciousness reality, consciousness creation. I don't see it as a digital computer simulation, if that's what you mean. It could be. I don't think that it is, though. I think it's just a consciousness creation, and I think that it's the interpretation is that it's a digital computer thing. Yeah, but I don't think that it is. If life is but a dream, to what do we awaken? Jed McKenna, dream state? Or is that a quote? Adam, then when I awoke and realized I wasn't in my bed, I made the realization I was still dreaming. Yeah, I've had dreams where I'm like a dream within a dream. Those are weird, where you're like, you wake up and you think that you're awake and you're not. You're still dreaming. That's so weird. And I've had dreams where, okay, so this kind of goes in tandem with Don't Worry, Darling. And this is how a lot of what happened in that movie excuse me. I'm going to have to end this soon because I'm losing my voice. But anyway, a lot of what happened in that movie, I think, can be explained this way, which a lot of people have seen. A lot of normies have seen this, which is kind of interesting. But so a few times I've fallen asleep while I'm listening to something or watching a video, what have you. And the voice that's coming through the device seeps into my dream and manifests as stuff in my dream. And there's been times where I've had these dreams where I thought I was still awake. So for one time, for example, I was listening to something on my iPad and I fell asleep, but it was like the in between, the hypnagogic state. And so I felt like I was still listening and still watching, but it was a dream. And my iPad started floating up and floating over my head. And I said, hey, stop, don't take my iPad away, to whatever entity was taking my iPad away. So put that down. And so it came back down. And so it was kind of aware of what was going on at the time. So it felt kind of more like a lucid dream or a hallucination or something than an actual dream. And I've had that happen quite a few times. and it usually ends up in this, and I mentioned one of this in my vlogs at Vlogmas, ends up in some kind of like weird movement. One time I had this dream where I was in my bedroom, but then I had this hallucination or hypnagogic lucid dream where I was suddenly in the living room and I was on my yoga mat or something, and it started lifting up, and I said, like, put me down, and started moving me across the floor. So I have dreams like that quite a bit. That kind of weird and freaky. Got here late, Rachel P. Well, at least you're here. And everyone, I was aware I was dreaming and tried to fly, but couldn't get off the ground. I love flying in dreams. It's so much fun. Glenn, I am frequently aware lately that my present conscious creation is a dream, especially when speaking. I notice my words come out spontaneously with no forethought at all. I've had that happen quite a bit, where there's been, not so often, there's been times where I have wanted to say one thing and my mouth says another. And then my brain is like, why are you saying these things? That's not what you wanted to say. So that happens sometimes. I've also had, I have a chronic problem where I try to say two things at once. My brain moves quickly, and putting the words together to catch up with my brain doesn't always work. And so I end up trying to put two concepts together, and it comes out a garbled mess. So that happens to me a lot. And I find myself saying this in front of people, and it comes out like I'm embarrassed or flustered in front of them, as if, I'm insecure or, don't know how to talk in front of them or whatever, which is not the case. Like, I'm a very confident speaker. I'm very, like, I could get up and do a public speech without any rehearsal and be totally fine with it. But I still have this issue where I stand in front of people and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And so, some people the impression I don't know how to talk. It's pretty funny. Oh, well, what are you going to do? BB, who affecting you more, your personality or your community? Let's say your income is $2 per day, like some poor countries in this world. Is the suffering will make you a different person? I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the question. I'm going to interpret this question the way I want to, which is essentially your external circumstances don't matter. It's what you believe and what you think and how you feel. And so you have the power to change your external circumstances to what you want. So if you're in a situation where your income is $2 a day and that's not sufficient for you, then you have the ability to change that. Now, in some cases it's easy, in some cases it's not. There are sometimes it's not, because you got blocks, and you have to be self-aware enough to remove those blocks or overcome those blocks. So that's how I would interpret your question. Thanks for your view. Much respect. CC. David Baxendale, how can you determine whether at this moment we are sleeping and all our thoughts are a dream, or whether we are awake and talking to one another in the waking state? Is that another quote? Plato? Adam, I had the thought that deja vu is something that happens moments ago, but your brain hasn't quite processed it, so it lags slightly so you can catch up with it. I've had deja vu many times. I have had, not so much lately though. I've had mini deja vu where it's just like a little flash, and I've had extended deja vu that lasts minutes and minutes and minutes. And so for me, the way I see deja vu is like, it's like a window into living this life over again, or a window into the future, because everything is now. So if you think about like Don't Worry Darling, because you've seen that, and you know when she has those flashbacks, it would be like that. You know, she's having flashbacks of like dancing girls and stuff, but you can have flashbacks into a deja vu of something that's happened in the future, but it's actually happening now because everything has already happened. Our brain is only making sense of everything in a linear fashion because it's all overwhelming if we don't, which is also why we have the reticular activating system to filter out all the external stimuli to narrow it down to the things that matter. And I think there's more to the reticular activating system than just filtering stuff out. It has to be connected to the third eye somehow, but don't quote me on that because I don't know the science behind it. I'm just intuitively saying that there's got to be more to it than that, because it is connected to the synchronicities. And it's not just about, hey, I bought a red car, now I see red cars everywhere. That's part of it, but there's more to it. So great to see 3K next to your channel name, Genovio. Thank you very much. It's great to see 3K next to my channel name. I'm very happy about it. It's been 6 years. I started my channel 6 years ago, and some of you have been with me from the beginning, and I'm so grateful that there are people who have been with me from the beginning. You've seen me all over the map, up and down, going through some weird stuff, and you're still here, and I appreciate that. One day, I hope we will meet and we will have a party or something, all of us. Like, it would be great. But anyhow, I don't know what needs to happen for that to happen, but that would be great if we could have like a truth party or something. Yep, multi-speak friends in comprehension, Glenn. Yeah. Yeah. Spotless leopard, deja vu could be memories or similar situations passed from your ancestors in the blood. Could be. That's an interesting way to look at it. Never thought of it that way. I do, however, I have noticed there are certain things that my parents have experienced and lived through that I repeated. Not like exactly the same, but very similar, that I found really weird that they did it and then I did it. And I was like, okay, this is weird. I don't know. Have you noticed that? Have you been repeating your parents' lives to some extent? Dreaming or awake is a 2 days experience. There makes a lot of sense too. The amygdala trickling through. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I'm sure it'll come across my plate at some point. Shared dream party. Yeah, let's all lucid dream and meet up in dream world. Party sounds great. Okay, somebody organize the party. Tell me where it's at. Okay, BB. So why these people in the world taking $2 a day entire their lives, why they don't change their lives? Maybe they accept it. First of all, somebody's $2 a day is another person's $200 a day. And a lot of people don't know that they can change it. A lot of people don't think they can change it. And a lot of people don't know how to change it. So just saying objectively that everybody can, everybody has the power to change their experience. I mean, you do. You can physically change your experience by moving, but you take your mindset with you. So a lot of people don't change their situation because they don't know how and they don't know that they can. It's as simple as that, really. Well, yeah. See, Mark, yeah. Somebody's $2 is a living wage. In Scotland for 8 more days, then to Portugal, intentional living community. Oh, that sounds nice. JB in Scotland and then Portugal. Lucky you. I'm repeating my maternal grandmother's life to some extent. I never met her and I have lived longer. It's Wilfie. Wow. That's really interesting. Yeah. So the community changed their personalities, not the community changed. No, the external does have an effect on you, but you're the one who's in control of how you behave and think and talk and act. So you're the one who has control over that, unless you hand over that control to somebody else. But yeah, you can be affected by your surroundings and your community or whatever, but all of that is an external expression of you anyway. So if you want your external to change, you have to look within and change you. You have to change how you think and what you want. Julia is evidence of manifestation abilities. Happy for you. Katia. Well, I did not expect to be talking for 2 hours and 15 minutes, but this was good. This was fun. I'm glad I fixed the aspect ratio of this webcam thing because I was not liking it before. I find it personally challenging to hear law of attraction references only because I was diving into Abraham Hicks for 10 years prior to my awakening. Genovio. Yeah, I've been into Abraham Hicks as well. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say here. Mark C., I think that's amazing that you experienced that. I know that I'm living my great-grandfather's life. He committed suicide. It has been my goal to make it all the way to my natural death. Well, that's pretty easy to do. Just don't kill yourself. That's probably not something we should be talking about, but yeah, don't do it. Thank you. Always appreciate what you show, especially the True Love Talks. Oh, thank you. I'm waiting for Genovio to finish his comment. Ixie, come on. I want to ask you when you will make new video. If you please make time for seeing and hearing you. You mean like have this sort of video? I'll think about that. If I have time and the ability to, I'll think about it. I am not a fan of Archaics. He's a shill. Therefore, I dismissed all the law of attraction teachings as false, like Tavistock, solipsism, but now you're bringing it back into my sphere of attention as valid information. Why do you feel this material? Not a fan, Adam. Like I said, I've only just found out. Yeah, Archaics is a shill. Period. I really don't like the guy. Really don't. Ixie, stop. Hey, come on, stop it. know you're frustrated. Yeah, okay, like there are issues, people have issues with law of attraction and law of assumption, but if you have issues with Abraham Hicks, I extracted some valuable information from her. See, stop it. Come on. I'm almost done. Some patience here. I extracted some valuable information from her. Hi, Eternal Padawan. I'm just winding things up here. But welcome back. Yeah, so I'm talking about Abraham Hicks. I extracted some very useful information from her. I have some useful tools that she's provided. However, I know a lot of people have issues with law of attraction. A lot of people have issues with Abraham Hicks, partly because she's a channeler and all this sort of stuff. There are some things that she doesn't know, and pardon me. But anyhow, it works. That's all I have to say about law of attraction. Like, it works, and I have used it. It's just deliberate creation. It's focusing on your thoughts and your feelings and emotions and paying attention to what's going on within you and how it manifests outside of you. And so, you may not like them, but the fact is that law of attraction is a thing. It works. And law of assumption is a thing, and it works. And they're very similar, basically the same thing in my opinion. But I think oh, did she? Adam, okay. But yeah, like I think a lot of times we have issues with some of these people because they don't have greater truths and won't look at them. Like, they won't look at flat earth. They won't look at anything beyond their teachings, really. Whatever. Like, if the channeling thing wasn't connected, I wouldn't care so much. But it's because she's a channeler that you would expect that she would have more intuition about other issues and other topics. I don't really understand how channeling works. And in some cases, like Bashar, I don't touch Bashar with a 10-foot pole. But, I take it with a grain of salt, and I take what resonates, leave the rest. So, I don't know. Did you finish what you were going to say, Genovio? It felt like you had something else to add. It's been a bizarre realization after I found some old death certificates amongst some of my old photos. My daughter even named all her dolls the same name my grandmother. As my grandmother, she had a nickname, Wolfie. Well, that's really interesting. Another step on the ladder, take the meat and leave the bones. At what point people think they can't change the reality of what they are? Well, you have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of the fact that you can change your experience. I mean, at a very basic level, you understand that you have choices in life. And so you can, if somebody offers you a job, you can take it or not take it. If somebody tells you you should go study this, you can listen to them or not listen to them. So your choices will change the path that you are on. And so that in itself is a very base level of how you can change your life. But law of attraction and law of assumption are a higher level of understanding of how you can change your life. And that understanding that all is mind, and how your mind works and getting control of your mind is an even better way and easier way to change your life. So, yeah, like, I wouldn't concern yourself with how other people live their lives and say that that is an example of XYZ. Concern yourself with yourself. Take the teachings, apply it to your life, test it out. Does it work? If it does, then keep doing it. If it doesn't, then either discard it or figure out what it is you need to adjust in order to make it work, because law of attraction does in fact work. And it works all the time, whether you're aware of it or not. And what you want to do is get control over it so that you have greater control over your circumstances. And if you are more aware of the connection between what's going on within you and what's happening outside of you, then you can better interpret what's going on outside of you to deal with what's going on inside of you. Because what's happening outside of you is the past. It's already happened within you, right? So the interpretation that you get from the past, the physical, the external, is going to help you in moving forward and changing. If you don't like what you see on the outside, gives you the opportunity to change it and do something about it. So it's all about figuring out what's in here. Where are we here? No one ever called her by her real name, Esther. I used it the other day, Eternal Padawan, to get my daughter exactly what I wanted. Not something I really expected to find in Plymouth, but I got it in the first shop I went in. Yeah, I mean, I kind of think this is a bigger topic for a video of its own, but one of the things I've noticed is that, we were talking about this earlier, things are coming to me now before I even have a chance to ask for it. So I think that's what is meant by letting go of your desires, because with law of attraction, or deliberate creation, let's call it, it's all focused on desires. It's all focused on getting stuff. I used it more to focus attention on how I feel and change how I feel and not worry about the stuff so much. And then the stuff would just come. But I still felt like there's got to be an easier way. And so I think that what is meant spiritually about letting go of your desires has to do with when you are at a certain place. I think I mentioned it in one of my videos. When you're at a certain place in your ascension process, you get to the point where things come to you automatically before you even ask for it. So because you're more in tune and more aligned with the universe, the external and the internal are working in harmony, then the Father, so to speak, knows already what you want and delivers it already before you even have a chance to ask for it. Therefore, you never have the moment to desire it in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So I think that that's the place you want to get to. And then that way, manifestation's effortless. But because you have to get to the place where you are in tune with you and your needs, and you've cleared out all the junk, you're not going to manifest stuff in your life that you don't want. So you have to go through that process in the first place in order to clear out the junk, in order to get in line, and then you get to the place where all of this stuff is delivered to you without asking. And so there's no waste, there's no excess, there's none of that, because everything is delivered to you as and when you need it, and you don't even have to ask for it. So there's no need, there's no greed, there's no desires, there's no yearnings, there's no gap, there's no lack. That's how I see it through the experiences that I've been having with the ascension process. So perhaps some of you have had similar experiences. Wilfie, in my case, I knew this when I was very young. Mark C. Adam, I think it's a marketing ploy, so there's no accountability on the channeler. Sorry, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Adam. You mean the use of channeling is a marketing ploy so that the person can't be blamed for what they say. That's possible. That's possible. But the one thing that I do notice is Esther, she talks kind of normal. She's a bit giddy. And then when she's channeling, I mean, the stream of consciousness when she's channeling is pure. Like it just flows. There's no hiccups. There's no backtracking. There's no mistakes. That's what gets me about it. And obviously there's some kind of, she tunes into something. So like I said, I don't know how to channel. So I don't know how it's done. A 1 ounce silver coin featuring Baby Yoda. Could she be any more of a shell Chandler? Genovio, I could never get law of attraction to work for me. Well, law of attraction works whether you use it or not. It's always working. It's the deliberate part that people have trouble with. My advice is, if you want it to work, focus on manifesting something you don't care about. And I started with purple roses as an example because it was something that I knew that when it showed up, I knew that it was what I had called for. And synchronicities are manifestations. I bet if you paid attention to certain details in your life, you'd start seeing it. And this is also why, to me, law of attraction and deliberate creation, law of assumption are beneficial in helping you see synchronicities, but also I think it is a skill that needs to be honed and as part of the process, as part of the ascension process, in order to get to the point where things just come to you. I could be wrong. People could probably just jump right to things just come to them. Maybe they have that belief that things just come to them and they don't need to, like, that's their base, and the law of attraction just brings everything to them anyway. So anyhow, I would just pick something that you know is what you've asked for, something that's going to stand out to you, something that will make you laugh, and something you don't particularly care about because you have no resistance to it. And then it should show up within a couple of weeks. Just forget about it. Just focus on it as if it's in your life already, because it already is, and then forget about it. And then when it shows up, you'll know. People forget how many choices they actually have, Spotless Leopard, when they end up obsessed with somebody living how they wished they'd lived. Where am I? Oh, wow. There's a lot of comments all of a sudden. Also, your judgment on how somebody else should live isn't necessarily how they want to live. So you got to take that into consideration too. Just contend to your own garden. Like, don't worry about other people and what they're up to and what they're doing and how they live. And I mean, you can see someone who's homeless on the street, and one person being homeless will hate it. Another person being homeless will find it pure paradise because they're not beholden to anybody or anything. But your judgment of what it means to be homeless is casting pain and suffering onto them that they don't even have. And then some people don't want to be there. So you never know. You cannot tell. Eternal Padawan, it's a good time for a live stream here in the UK. Genovio, what it did accomplish is me ignoring the red flags by a major sociopath who wrecked my life while I tried to only look at the positive. See, that's the problem. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, Genovio, because I think that some people call it toxic positivity, but I think if you're not paying attention to what is coming in your experience, and you're not aware of what this is, and you're trying to, like, if you're dealing with a sociopath, or you're dealing with a narcissist, or somebody who's taking advantage of you or whatever, see, this is why personally I see it as an exercise in understanding and interpreting my external experience and how I can adjust accordingly. Whereas a lot of people in the law of attraction community will say, only focus on the positive, only focus on what you want. Well, yes, that's true to a point, but you have to also pay attention to what you're getting. Is it something that you want? If it is, great. If it isn't, then you got to do something about it. You got to examine, why am I getting this in my life? Do I want this in my life? What is this telling me about me? How do I change this? And sometimes you got to cut those people out of your experience. You got to learn why you're attracting these people into your experience. And then you got to deal with the inner stuff that caused you to attract that in your experience so that it doesn't happen again. And they don't teach you that. And I think that's a really good point, and that's their downfall. And I never really looked at it that way. I looked at it as more of an exploration and understanding myself better, which is, I think, how you should look at it. And I think too, like, there's a bit of a danger with even Neville Goddard saying that you can change other people by seeing them a certain way. And yes and no. You can have an interaction. One person can have an interaction with a narcissist and not experience narcissistic abuse. Another person can have an interaction with a narcissist and have extreme narcissistic abuse. And the difference is in how they relate to that person and what their belief systems are and what they allow into their lives and what they don't. So it's all about what's going on with you. So if you're dealing with a narcissist, you do not want to try and change that person. You really don't. I think it's better if you try to change your perception of people, sure. And your perception of yourself, sure. But I think personally, I think it's healthier to actually take in what's going on for real. And do I like it or not? Because there's a tendency for those people to say, totally ignore reality, which I don't think is healthy. But anyway, like I said, it's a deeper conversation. Lana, welcome. It's an inside job. We attract where we're at energetically. Absolutely. Adam, very true. I'm fed and I'm chilling. Wilfie, I had an unexplainable dislike for my grandfather. Didn't find out till after his death how abusive he was. I started noticing the patterns. Wow, that seems really interesting what you got going on there, Wilfie. Adam, I mean, channeling is a marketing ploy. Yeah. Sorry, I'm way behind on the comments here. Genovia, maybe law of attraction material is accurate, but learning discernment is vital. Yes, absolutely. So one doesn't fall prey, as I did, to sociopathy. Indeed. And also recognizing the signs of, narcissists. David Baxendale, in truth, only two things exist, one of which doesn't. The two things are awareness and appearance. Awareness is consciousness. Appearance is the content of consciousness. Very interesting. Yes. Wolfie, that's interesting. Point. Spotless, if you have one option, you can't make the second. JB, the universe provides far quicker now. It's like putting out a virtual request. Yes, thank you. Good to know other people are experiencing it too. The point was that people have more choices than they think. Then they make a choice, get stuck with it, and in some cases blame others who haven't made such choices. Absolutely. Lana, mindfulness and awareness of our underlying unconscious or conscious programs is key. Yes, indeed. Yeah, a lot of that is another layer of law of attraction that people do not talk about, and getting into psychology, getting into understanding yourself and understanding your mind and your thoughts. That's really important. You can't just leapfrog it. I don't think anyway. I don't think it's healthy to leapfrog it. Stephen Perkis, I'm getting evicted like many others in the UK and thought it all was lost. Then place came on the market next door to my landlord. So I find out tomorrow Karma does his job and he'll see me more than ever. Excellent. That sounds fantastic. I'm sorry to hear that you got evicted, but sometimes those things lead to better things. So yeah, the pain in the moment can bring extreme joy in the next. So I guess the key is to sort of level it out and not really tie to one or the other. Even if she's kidding herself, but I think she tunes into herself. Okay. You're talking about Abraham Hicks. Eternal Padawan, is this getting easier? I no longer need to speak aloud. I can just think of it. Now you mention it, I've had a few preemptive gifts lately. Yeah, indeed. That's awesome. Good. Lost my place. It's not disinfo agent. She could be channeling hijacked by baddies. I don't think it's baddies. She offers a lot of really beneficial, helpful advice and tools. But I don't think she's a disinfo agent either. I just think that there's something going on with the whole channeling thing that it doesn't allow you to see the bigger picture. It doesn't do what you would think that it would do. Adam, I write poems in flow state that are beyond my comprehension. If how I created them, I can write really meaningful pieces in one go in 10 minutes. And I thought I channeled, but I feel I unlocked part of me. Yeah. There's stream of consciousness, there's inspiration, and there's also tapping into your higher self. So you can go into like a meditative state, or even just hook into your higher self, or do like free writing, or what's it called? Automatic writing. All of that's very similar, and there's nothing evil about it. And I think like people have to get beyond the whole evil thing. Yes, there are bad things here, but again, put more focus on yourself and don't worry so much about it. Ever since I've moved beyond the whole conspiracy evil stuff, I don't have experience with it. And if I recognize somebody who I see as something I don't want in my life, I just go away. I don't deal with it anymore. I won't tolerate it anymore. Whereas before, I didn't even know what red flags to look for. Now I do. And as soon as I see it, I'm done. I don't tolerate the red flags. And I try to do it in a very loving way, because I have empathy for those people. They can't help it. However, you bring like nasty negativity my way. I don't want it. There's too much else for me to do. We literally pay for our experiences with the currency frequencies of our thoughts. Yes. You got some really great insights, Lana. Thank you very much for sharing. Mark C., I think law of attraction can only work if you are actually tapped into your strengths and start from that platform to manifest. For example, my ex-wife always wins at lottery type games. Well, if she has the belief that she always wins, she will always win. And the universe will line it up for her so that she will be able to be in the position to always win. Comments keep you here with us. No one wants you to go. Thanks, Eternal Padawan. 100%, Stephen. Lana, it's not just a thinking, but a whole mind, body, spirit connection. You have to feel and be in the state of what that is you desire. Yes, exactly. Well, you have to believe it's already yours. Indeed. So if you have any resistance to it, you have any belief or doubt that it isn't coming, or that it isn't here already, that it isn't already yours, then it will be delayed until you can remove that block. And a lot of times people don't realize they have a block. And a lot of times people go back and forth and say, well, where is it? Where is it? And you saying, where is it, is recognizing that it's not here. And so that just keeps it away. So, and sometimes it comes in the form that you don't notice. It comes in a different kind of form. There's all sorts of subtleties and nuances to manifesting. It's a whole cycle to unravel, indeed. Mark, yes. Oh my God. Yes, you have to pay attention to all that is coming your way. Find out why and change what you don't want. Yes, I just like the idea of manipulating others. It's like voodoo magic. Yes, I agree, Lana. I feel like your responsibility in terms of your thinking of other people is, what is your opinion of other people? Like, say you have a contentious relationship with your brother, and you have the set opinion that your brother is an idiot, just for the sake of argument. He may not be, but that's your set opinion. And so if that's your set opinion about your brother, and every interaction that you have with him is him proving to you he's not an idiot, and you condescending to him because you think he is, whether it's joking or painful, like hurtful or what have you, but that's the dynamic you have. If you suddenly change your opinion of your brother to, my brother is very intelligent, actually, he has a lot of very intelligent things to say, it immediately releases him of that boundary that he's butting up against, because he's feeling that. So if you change your opinion of your brother to, my brother's got very intelligent things and insightful things to say, I think I better change my opinion of him and listen to what he has to say, because what he said last week, that was really smart. So maybe he isn't as stupid as I thought he was. So now your brother has this dynamic with you where he feels that he doesn't have to prove himself anymore. He feels that he doesn't have to impress you. He can just express himself freely. And now when he does say something to you, you're no longer criticizing him or condescending to him, and you are accepting of what he has to say. You say, well, that was really insightful. You know, I applied what you said the other day, and it really worked, so thank you. And that completely shifts the dynamic in your relationship. To me, that's a way healthier way to deal with that sort of thing. Not like, and then the brother will have more confidence because he's not dealing with this conflict all the time. So it can affect him in other areas of his life where he feels that he has to prove himself everywhere he goes. Now he no longer feels he has to prove himself, because this schema he's developed that you have helped create with your brother has fallen away, because he now realizes that you think that he's smart, and now he thinks that he's smart. He can finally accept that he's smart. So in that sense, this is take care of your own garden. If what your perception of other people is causing this dynamic, fix that. But don't go voodooing with their lives. That's none of your business. Like, what they want for themselves is their business, and what you want for yourself is your business. And if you have a contentious relationship with somebody you want to fix, all you got to do is tend to your own garden, and then that will change how you interact with that person. Freaking hands. And then you and then that might like help that person in the rest of their lives. So yeah, you don't want to voodoo them. I see the external as a series of scripts being offered, and it's up to individuality whether we accept it or reflect it. Yeah, that's part of it for sure. Mark, you want to change your reaction and relationship with the narcissist. Totally. Yeah. See, the thing is, okay, with the narcissist is similar. Again, I'm sorry, I'm way behind in your comments, but the thing with a narcissist is when they are, if they come into your experience and you're affected by it, they will keep coming at you. If you're not affected by it because you know their game and you don't entangle with them, they're not going to dance with you. They're just going to realize they're not going to get the narcissistic supply that they're after from you. So if you're aware of their game, you're aware of the red flags, and you just sort of go, yeah, I'm not interested. I got to deal with you because we work together. But beyond that, no, I'm not dealing with you. They won't bother you because the only reason they bother with people is to get the supply. Start from within and the external will reflect in your world. Lana, words of wisdom. Thank you very much. The only thing to do with narcissists is walk away. I agree. In most cases, if you can, walk away. If you can't, then you got to find some way to walk around them. I had to bring in another person to ask a narcissist to leave my home. Don't try to change or adapt. It's a trap. Exactly. Yeah. Choose your mental health first. I agree. Where am I? I manifested a pack of razor blades the other week. Been buying them off eBay and getting fake, so decided to do some self-love and buy from store. So got bus and was there. One pack left for you, Steve. Sometimes it's that easy. It's that simple. And it, you know, it's not some grand performance. It's as simple as a pack of razor blades. David Baxendale. Brahman is consciousness, the impersonal, featureless, infinite. Maya is the creator of the dream state, and the Atman is the aspect of Brahman, and that beholds Maya's creation, not entities or tools for understanding. Thank you for that. I would really like to know a little bit more about Hinduism, and I'm probably getting it wrong, but anyway, some of the more Eastern religions, because so far, because I want to compare them to what I know about the more Western ones. Those are kind of where my focus has been right now, but all in good time. James recommended your channel to me. Lana, well done YouTube collaborations on these subjects. Thank you. Genovio, thank you for your patience and thoroughness. Oh, not at all. I mean, it was a really good question, and a lot of people have the same kind of question. And, you know, me talking it through with you allows me to find more information and nuances as well. So that's helpful. Lana has a channel. Or are you talking about James? I think you're talking about James. If you are queen from where you take your new authorities, I don't quite understand the question. Pardon me. Highly recommend Lana Labont channel. I feel many will benefit from listening. Oh, so you do have a channel. Okay. I'll check out your channel. I enjoy these live chats so much. Thank you. Quirky Chick. That's a new name. Welcome. I'm so glad you could join us. And I'm glad you're enjoying it. Law of expectation. Call it whatever you want. Law of expectation, deliberate creation, law of assumption, law of attraction. It's all the same thing. Let me know if you ever want to do a collaboration. I love these conversations. 80% of what we say is meant for us to hear. You have a new channel. Okay, well, I'll check out your channel. I'll have a look. I've been listening to a bunch of your content about Kundalini rising, and yesterday I found a random pair of Santa socks in the Airbnb I clean. Lots of 33s too, off the charts. See, there you go. That is law of attraction right there. So don't you tell me you haven't been able to manifest anything. Okay, I'm going to end it there. I've reached the end of the comments. I'm losing my voice. I have had 3 hours of beautiful conversation with all of you. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed every minute of it. You guys had some of the most amazing comments and questions and discussion, and it's been a real treat. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing your comments and your thoughts and your questions and insights. And I'm really grateful to see so many new names as well as returning names. And I really feel fed by this conversation. So thank you very much. Again, join me next week, same time, same place. We'll have a conversation and bring your questions, bring your comments. Thank you for this wonderful discussion. Oh, your strictly educational magic. You missed it. I'm just wrapping things up. Anyway. Strictly educational magic. That name is familiar. I think I've subscribed to your channel. So, yeah, this has been really lovely. So yeah, reminder, go to my website, and I'm going to set up a subscription button to the newsletter, or just join my site if you can find the button. And I will send out an email and newsletter every month to update you on what's going on across all my channels, my website, Discord, everything that's going on, and a little bit of extra just for you. So it's going to be interesting, and I welcome your suggestions, your ideas of things that you are looking for, things that you would find helpful. I can't guarantee that I will do them because of the amount of work that's involved, or the amount of interest, or what have you, but I do take them seriously, and I do appreciate your feedback in what you need and what you would find helpful. So do let me know. And I really just want to open up the conversation a little bit more and find ways to help people talk back and forth and connect and support each other and share information and insights. And so if you're not part of the Discord group, there's that too. Go join that. And I will see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Bye for now.